love them or hate them, we're going to look at the Bryan Lunduke computer operating system today. That is right. So this is, of course, Bryan Lunduke made up his own operating system based on a couple of core ideas. And his ideas is he does not want any age verification or ID verification. No online accounts are needed, no AI, no weird politics, no SystemD, no forced rushed clones, modern tech, 90s UI. And that is what we want to look at here. So LCOS is built on top of Devuan. Of course, we've talked about Devuan on this channel before. Basically Debian without SystemD. Now, he also says he includes carefully selected software to adhere to those core ideals. Also being possibly the first Linux distribution to pre-ship with Brave Origin. So this is actually my first look at looking at Brave Origin. And I think one of the things here, I'll have a lot of different things to say about all this system. Now, the system runs on only about 300 megabytes of use. Now, you'll see here it's 1.38 gig. You know, reminder, we are recording in HD. I have Brave Origin open. I have a bunch of this other stuff open here as well. So that's probably why it is why it's running as high as it is right now. But rest assured, at rest, the system is only using about 300 megabytes of data, which is actually pretty cool in this setup. So he kind of talks in here about it's not a community project. The king has total control, both technologically and organizationally. This prevents political activists from seizing control, as has happened with many other open source projects. And I completely agree with that. We've talked about how Debian is basically electing people in charge who know very little about the operating system itself. They're just, weird people with political agendas, and then they decide to start bad-mouthing everybody who happens to be white and cis, and then they're like, but we can't find developers. Stop alienating people based on political ideology. That's happening in Debian. That's happening, I think, to a lesser extent in Fedora. It's taken over in OpenSUSE, where Bryan Lunduke used to, I believe, be on the board. And so there is a push for more systems which are becoming apolitical, which it's sad that we have to have systems that are apolitical, but that is the case. He does say here it's upstream first. He tries to only basically ship only vanilla versions of things. That way there's not a lot. In fact, it's so vanilla here. The install is the default Devuan wallpaper. I'm not sure why. Let me give a little bit of grace here. I should have said this at the beginning. This is a very, 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 very first release of this. And so we're not going to bash it too hard, but maybe this should be the default operating system wallpaper, So, let me get that terminal back. I do absolutely love this terminal he has. It's a retro terminal. It makes your screen system looks like an old CRT. I love it. So that's pretty cool. So this is early development. Expect bugs. The biggest bugs I encountered on this personally, I could not get this installed under EFI. Yeah, I couldn't do it, period. Devuan, haven't had a problem in the past. This one here, I have tried every way to sundown. I think I tried to get this installed more than any other distro, simply because I said on X I would review it. So here we are. Basically, it would get up and it would, I would have to go in, and of course you have to manually run your partitions. I set the correct EFI partitions. There's no documentation that I could find on this. In fact, the only way to get any form of support is to have a Lunduke forum account. To have a Lunduke forum account, you need to be a supporter of Bryan Lunduke's Patreon. I don't know if he's not doing Patreon. I think he's doing locals. So you can't even get help with it without being a direct supporter, which is probably okay for a monarchical system. So I went back and looked up all of the Devuan documentation, since everything's trying to be as vanilla as possible. I could not get this installed. I tried over a dozen times. I even tried installing it without the bootloader and tried using Linux Mint's boot repair. That didn't work. I tried manually running a chroot and manually installing it, and I just ran into problems and bugs and issues. I could not get this installed on UEFI, which is frightening because I think I only have 2 computers in production that even support UEFI at this point. Because some of the newer systems are dropping support for legacy BIOS, which is a blimmin' shame, because frankly, we should have the ability to do that if I want to. But fortunately, this is my big streaming computer and it still does support legacy options. So I went back, last ditch effort. Let's try and install under legacy, which I should have thought about a long time ago. And it finally did work. So now we have a functioning Lunduke computer operating system running on my platform. Now, as he said, he wants like a 90s UI, and he has accomplished that goal. I am not a huge fan of the 90s UI. As nostalgic as I can be, I watch all of those old TV shows we watched growing up. I collect all of the old movies, even if they're bad. Yes, I'm sad to say. Oh, don't hate me, folks. Mac and Me is actually in my movie collection. I just had to get that off my chest, but it is there. As much as I love nostalgia, I'm not a huge fan of nostalgia in my main operating system. I mean, my Metakey does not work out of the box. This is XFCE, so I believe I can get it programmed to function. Is this XFCE? Or is this LXQT? I forget. And so looking at all of our options here, this is XFCE. Looking at all of our options here, it is XFCE. It is an older theme. It's not, I don't absolutely hate this. It's just not one I would use on my regular system. I actually do like some of the modern flair and flash into the system. As far as how does everything work with modern systems, well, I can access all my network shares just fine if I go into my network shares. Hey, it does remember my number lock. That's good. So, I can go in here. Actually, I think let's cancel that. I was not able to go just that direction. I do have to drop into my, actually, let me do my open share folder. That way I can do that one anonymously. So I can actually get in here and access all of my network shares without a problem. So networking is just fine. And the software suite is all things that you would expect. We have some basic things for XFCE, X archiving utility. Of course, we have Vim. It's a Bryan Lunduke operating system. Why would we have anything but Vim? I mean, we got that. We have a basic image viewer. Brave Origin is your default browser. I installed Simple Screen Recorder for recording the video. It has VLC, XF Burn, because we're going retro, why not? We have ABBA for your word processor. Now, you could install pretty much anything else you want, but out of the box, this contains effectively only the basic system tools you need, only things that adhere strictly to his early guidelines. But, being as that we are talking here about retro, let's go ahead and just test one thing we've not had a chance to test in a long time. How well does it burn a CD? And I'll tell you, I already did a test on this, and yes, it works just fine. And I actually happen to have 2 blank CDs. So let's go ahead and pull up XF Burn. I pulled up some random music that was in my library. I don't think I have enough for the last song, but let's go ahead and drop all these guys on. It's 83 minutes. This is a 90-minute CD, really? I thought it was an 80-minute. Oh, the first one I had was an 80-minute CD. The other was 90 minutes, I guess. Okay, well, it says it's good, so we can go ahead and proceed to burn. And let's see, eject disk, burn free. We go ahead and do that, and then not enough space. See, that's what I thought. I thought this thing was leading me wrong. It should only be an 80-minute CD. I'm like, what? Let's remove that one. That's 78 minutes. Okay, let's try that. Okay, now the disk popped out. I'm going to have a look at that disk. Oh, yep, 80 minute is indeed put on the, stamped on the disk. Let's go ahead and drop that guy back in there. I was pretty sure 90 was a wrong number. I'm not sure why the system said I could burn a disk at 90, but there we go. Now we can burn composition. So why, of course, we do this? Because I bought an old car that has a CD player in it. I've had no CDs to put into it. So it's beautiful that we run a retro operating system so I can burn a CD to listen to when I'm driving down to the store. Why not? Of course. All right, so I have full predictions that's going to work, being that the second one worked. I just kind of pulled out a bunch of random songs from various artists in my server. And there is what we have. So we will get a system that is going to be free of crazy Rust implementation and free of SystemD if you're not a huge fan of that. I believe this is also based, he didn't mention it there in his notes, but this is also based on X Libra instead of X11, because X Libra right now is becoming a little bit more mature than that. So I'm going to go ahead and move these guys over here and let that do its thing. And there is our look at the Lunduke computer operating system. Let me know your love or hate for this distribution in the comments down below. I'll be very interested to hear what you have to say. And with that, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to the Lunduke computer operating system.